Commander Vextor stood on the bridge of the Krellian warship Decimator, all four of his eyes fixed on the viewport, watching the pathetic excuse for a human transport vessel limp through the outer colony's sector. Now Vextor had seen a lot in his 30 cycles of military service, but nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared him for the sheer absurdity of what humans considered space-worthy. The thing looked like someone had welded together spare parts from a scrapyard and slapped an engine on it, which, knowing humans, was probably exactly what they did. "Sir, the vessel is attempting to hail us," chirped Communications Officer Trillax, his antenna twitching with what Vextor recognized as barely contained amusement. "Ignore it," Vextor said, waving one of his 3-clawed hands dismissively. "Charge weapons. Let us see how brave these primates are when staring down our plasma cannons." The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency, which was more than could be said for the human ship currently trying and failing to execute an evasive maneuver. Vextor would have laughed if Krellians had the proper vocal structure for it. Instead, he made a clicking sound that his crew understood as profound satisfaction. "Weapons charged, Commander," announced Tactical Officer Hexra, her scales shifting to a predatory crimson. "Fire a warning shot across their bow. Let them know we mean business, not that they could possibly mistake our intentions." The Decimator's forward cannons lit up the void with a brilliant burst of energy that streaked past the transport vessel close enough to make their hull sensors scream. To their credit, or perhaps their stupidity, the humans did not immediately surrender. Instead, the ship lurched forward, attempting what Vextor could only describe as the saddest excuse for a speed boost he had ever witnessed. "They are trying to run, sir," Trillax reported, and this time he could not hide the clicking sounds of laughter. "How adorable. Hexra, disable their engines. Try not to vaporize the entire ship. I want prisoners. Command wants to know what the humans are doing this far into disputed territory." 3 precisely targeted shots later, the human transport was dead in space, leaking atmosphere from a dozen hull breaches and spinning slowly like a child's toy. Vextor ordered the boarding party to suit up, which took approximately 4 minutes because Krellians were efficient like that, unlike certain bipedal mammals who needed 15 minutes just to remember which end of their helmet went on their heads. Lieutenant Keshta led the boarding team, reporting back within moments of breaching the transport's airlock. "Commander, the vessel is barely functional. Life support is failing. We have multiple human casualties. Wait, correction. We have 1 survivor. Female. I think. It is always so hard to tell with these creatures. Bring her aboard. Secure her in Detention Block 7. Full containment protocols. The last thing I need is a human running around my ship touching things and breaking them, which seems to be their primary talent." 20 minutes later, Vextor made his way to the detention block, curious despite himself. Humans were supposed to be the galaxy's newest players, barely having figured out faster than light travel 3 of their decades ago. They were supposed to be weak, fragile, emotional creatures who cried at the drop of a hat and formed something called bonds with literally anything that moved. Some humans apparently kept Earth creatures called dogs as companions, which was just baffling on every conceivable level. The human sat in the center of the detention cell, on the floor, legs crossed in some sort of meditative pose. She was small even by human standards, with dark hair pulled back in a simple tail, wearing a gray jumpsuit that had seen better days. Her skin was a warm brown tone, and her eyes, those strange forward-facing eyes that humans had, were closed. "She has not moved since we brought her in, sir," reported Guard Captain Zindor, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "She has not spoken. She has not asked for anything. She just sits there." Vextor studied the human through the energy barrier. "Has she been scanned?" "Yes, sir. Standard human biology. No weapons, no implants, no cybernetics, nothing unusual." "Nothing unusual," Vextor repeated, something nagging at the back of his mind. In his experience, nothing was ever that simple. What was the transport carrying? Zindor checked his datapad. According to the manifest, medical supplies, food rations, and 1 passenger, Hermia Torres, age 28, human years, occupation listed as consultant. Consultant. Vextor clicked his mandibles together, the Krellian equivalent of a skeptical eyebrow raise. Consultant for what exactly? "It does not specify, sir." Of course it did not. Humans and their infuriating tendency to be vague about everything. Vextor activated the cell's communication panel. "Human, you will identify yourself and state your purpose in Krellian territory." The human's eyes opened slowly, and for just a fraction of a second, Vextor felt something he had not experienced in years. A cold spike of instinctive warning, the kind that predators felt when they realized they might have bitten off more than they could chew. But then the moment passed, And the human simply smiled, a small, almost sad expression. "My name is Maya Torres," she said, her voice calm, measured and utterly without fear. "And you have made a terrible, terrible mistake." Vexter did not appreciate being told he had made a mistake. He especially did not appreciate being told this by a captive who should, by all reasonable standards, be terrified out of her tiny human mind. Yet here sat Maya Torres, looking about as concerned as someone waiting for a delayed shuttle, which was to say not concerned at all. "The only mistake here, human, is yours," Vexter said, his translator rendering his words with what he hoped was appropriate menace. "You were in restricted space. Your ship was carrying contraband, I am certain of it. You will tell me everything about your mission, or I will make your remaining time very, very unpleasant." Maya tilted her head slightly, and that smile never wavered. "Contraband, Commander. The only thing that ship was carrying besides me was enough freeze-dried pasta to feed a small colony for 6 months and antibiotics. Unless you consider marinara sauce a weapon of mass destruction, I think your intelligence reports might need updating." Trillax, who had accompanied Vexter to observe, made a strangled sound. No prisoner had ever spoken to the commander with such casual disrespect and lived to talk about it. Vexter's scales shifted to a dangerous violet. "You think this is funny? You think mocking me will improve your situation?" "I do not think anything about this is funny, Commander," Maya said, and now her smile faded. "In fact, I think this is possibly the worst thing that could have happened. For you, I mean, not for me. I will be fine. You, however, are going to have a really bad week." Vexed, Thor stared at her. This was not how interrogations went. Prisoners were supposed to bluster or beg or try to negotiate. They were not supposed to sit there predicting bad weeks for their captors like some sort of discount fortune teller. "Bring in Chief Science Officer Kolomir," Vextalver ordered. "I want a full biological scan of this human. There is something wrong here." While they waited, Vextar tried a different approach. "Tell me, Maya Torres, what exactly does a consultant do?" "Oh, you know," Maya said, examining her fingernails with apparent fascination. "Consulting, giving advice, solving problems. Mostly I tell people when they are about to do something catastrophically stupid, and then I watch them do it anyway. It is actually a pretty depressing job when you think about it." "And who were you consulting for?" "That is classified, I am afraid." Vextar's patience, already thin, was approaching microscopic levels. "You are a prisoner on a Krellian warship. Nothing is classified from me. Actually, everything about me is classified from you specifically," Maya said. "The fact that you do not know that yet is part of the problem. The other part of the problem is that you probably would not believe me if I told you, which is really the story of my entire career now that I think about it." Chief Science Officer Kalmir arrived before Vextor could formulate a response to that particular piece of circular logic. Kalmir was old, even by Krellian standards. His scales faded to a pale gray, but his mind remained sharp as a plasma blade. He carried a portable scanning array that looked far too complicated for its own good. "Commander," Kalmir greeted, then turned his attention to Maya. A human. How interesting. I have read extensively about your species. Persistence hunters, yes. You chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. Fascinating evolutionary strategy. Absolutely terrifying but fascinating." "Someone has done their homework," Maya said. "That is refreshing. Most species just assume we are harmless because we are small and squishy." "Oh, I would never make that assumption," Kalmir said, setting up his equipment. "Any species that domesticated wolves and then selectively bred them into animals that fit in teacups is clearly not operating with a normal threat assessment matrix. Now hold still, please. This will not hurt." The scanner hummed to life, bathing Maya in a soft blue light. She sat perfectly still, that same calm expression on her face, while Kalmir muttered to himself and occasionally clicked his mandibles in surprise. "Well?" Vexed Thor demanded after several minutes of this. "She is human, sir. Completely, utterly, boringly human. 2 lungs, 1 heart. Standard neural configuration. No cybernetic enhancement. No genetic modification that I can detect. Blood pressure is normal. Heart rate is normal. She is by every measurable standard exactly what she appears to be." "See," Maya said. "Told you. Just a regular human consultant, minding her own business until someone decided to blow up her ride." But Kalmir was frowning now, his scanner making odd chirping sounds. "However, there is one anomaly. Her stress hormones are completely absent. No cortisol elevation. No adrenaline spike. Nothing. She is as calm as someone taking a nap. which should be biologically impossible given her circumstances. Maybe I just have really good anxiety management, Maya offered. Or maybe, Vextor said slowly, you know something we do not. Maya met his gaze, and there it was again, that flicker of something ancient and dangerous behind those two forward-facing eyes. Commander, I know lots of things you do not. For instance, I know that your ship's reactor has a microfracture in the secondary coolant line that your engineers have not noticed yet. I know that Guard Captain Zindor has been skimming from the supply requisitions for 3 months. I know that Trillax over there is engaged in a secret relationship with someone in the engine room, which is against regulations but honestly kind of sweet. And I know that in approximately 42 hours, this entire ship is going to experience a cascade systems failure that will leave you stranded in deep space, unless you let me go right now. The silence that followed was profound. Kulmir spoke first. How could you possibly know about the reactor? That scan just happened this morning, and only senior engineering staff have access to those reports. Maya just smiled again, but this time it did not reach her eyes. Like I said, Commander, you made a terrible mistake. But hey, do not listen to me. I am just the consultant. What do I know? Vexter did not believe in coincidences, so when 6 hours after Maya's little prediction about ship malfunctions, the bridge lighting system flickered and died for exactly 37 seconds before coming back online, he absolutely did not think it was a coincidence. He thought it was a problem. Engineering, report. He barked into his comm unit. Chief Engineer Ralvek sounded confused, which was never a good sign from someone responsible for keeping a warship functional. Sir, we are investigating. The power surge came from nowhere. All systems check out. It is like the ship just decided to hiccup for no reason. Ships do not hiccup. Ralvek, find the problem. Yes, sir. Though, while I have you on the line, we did find that microfracture in the secondary coolant line, the one in Reactor Bay 3. Weird thing is it was not there during our last inspection 2 days ago. It is almost like it appeared out of nowhere. Vexthor felt his scales prickle. The human mentioned that. Sir. Never mind, just fix it, and run a level 1 diagnostic on every system. I want to know if a single transistor is out of place. He cut the connection and turned to Trillax, who was very carefully not making eye contact. You, the human, said you were in a relationship with someone in the engine room. Is that true? Trillax's antenna went flat against his head, which was the Krellian equivalent of blushing furiously. Sir, that is classified. That is personal. How could she possibly know that? Nobody knows that. We have been so careful. Apparently not careful enough if a human prisoner can figure it out. Vexter rubbed his temples, or the closest Krellian equivalent. Who is it? Technician Lormina, sir, Trillax admitted miserably. We were going to request a proper bonding ceremony after this tour. Please do not put this in my file. Great. Just great. Now he was dealing with relationship drama on top of everything else. I do not care about your love life, Trillax. I care about how that human knew about it. Get down to detention and review every second of surveillance footage from her cell. I want to know if she has done anything at all that explains this. Over the next 24 hours, things went from weird to what Vextor could only describe as aggressively bizarre. The galley's food synthesizer started producing everything at exactly 3 degrees too cold. The gravity plating in Corridor 9B kept fluctuating by 0.02%, which should not have been noticeable, except everyone who walked through it reported feeling slightly nauseous. The ship's AI kept playing what Trillax identified as classical human music, specifically something called Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, at random intervals, and nobody could figure out how to make it stop. And Maya Torres just sat in her cell looking serene. Guard Captain Zindor appeared in Vextor's office looking like he had not slept in a week, which was impressive considering it had only been 1 day. Sir, we need to talk about the prisoner. What about her? Zindor pulled up a holographic display showing security footage from the detention block. This is from hour 6 of her captivity. The footage showed Maya sitting in exactly the same position she had been in since they brought her aboard. This is hour 12. Same position. Hour 18. Still the same. Hour 24. Had she even blinked? So she likes to meditate. Humans do that. Sir, she has not moved. At all. She has not eaten. She has not requested water. She has not used the sanitation facilities. She has not slept. For over 24 hours she has not done a single thing that a living creature needs to do to survive. Vexter felt that cold spike of warning again. Stronger this time. That is impossible. You said the scans showed she was completely biological. They did, sir. She is. But watch this. Zindor pulled up another clip, this one showing Maya's cell from a different angle. One moment she was sitting in the center of the cell, the next, she was standing by the energy barrier, not walking, not standing up, just suddenly there, like someone had cut frames out of a video. Equipment malfunction, Vextor said, but his voice lacked conviction. That is what I thought too, sir. But it keeps happening. And there is more. 3 crew members have reported seeing her in corridors she could not possibly be in. Engineer Ralvek swears he saw her in Reactor Bay 3 standing right next to that microfracture, just watching him work. When he called security, she was gone. Security confirmed she never left her cell. This is ridiculous. Humans cannot teleport. They can barely manage basic faster-than-light travel without getting space sick. I am just telling you what people are reporting, sir. Kalamir chose that moment to arrive, looking even more disturbed than Zindor, which was quite an achievement. Commander, I need to speak with you about the prisoner's biology scans. I have been analyzing the data and I found something troubling. More troubling than the fact that she apparently does not need to eat, sleep or use the bathroom. Yes, actually, her cellular structure is human. Her DNA is human. Everything about her reads as human. But when I compare the scans taken at hour 1 versus hour 24, there is no cellular degradation. None. No waste products building up in her system. No fatigue markers. It is as if her body is not actually processing time the way it should. She is not aging. Not even at the microscopic level. Vexed Sor stood up, his decision made. I am going to talk to her. Now. And she is going to explain what she is, or by the 7 moons of Krell I will space her and deal with the diplomatic incident later. Sir, I do not think threatening her is wise, Kalmir said. Neither was capturing her apparently. But here we are. When Vextor reached the detention block, Maya was standing facing the door, as if she had been waiting for him. She had not been standing a moment ago when he checked the security feed. She smiled. Hello again, Commander. Ready to listen now? Or do you need a few more impossible things to happen before you take me seriously? Vextor was about to respond when every single light on the ship went dark. Not flickering, not dimming, just gone, like someone had flipped a switch on reality itself. Emergency lighting kicked in after 3 seconds that felt like 3 years, bathing everything in a sickly red glow. Engineering, what is happening? Vextor shouted into his comm. Ralvek's voice came through, high-pitched with panic. Commander, we have cascade failures in primary systems. Life support is dropping to minimum. Weapons are offline, shields are offline. The reactor is... I do not even know how to describe this. The reactor is cycling through shutdown and restart procedures on its own. It is like the ship is having a seizure. Maya stepped forward, right through the energy barrier that should have been containing her. Except the barrier was not there anymore, because nothing was working properly. She walked calmly into the corridor, and Zindor immediately raised his plasma rifle. Do not move, human. Oh Zindor, Maya said sadly. That weapon relies on a micro-fusion cell that just lost magnetic containment. Pull that trigger and you will vaporize your own hand. Trust me on this one. Zindor looked down at his rifle, saw the warning indicator flashing critical, and very carefully set it on the ground. What are you? Vextor demanded. Maya sighed. A very human gesture that somehow carried the weight of centuries. I tried to tell you, but nobody ever listens to the consultant. Do you want the short version or the long version? Because we have about 15 minutes before your life support completely fails. So I would recommend the short version. Talk. Now. Fine. Remember 3 years ago when humanity made first contact? When we sent out those diplomatic vessels full of ambassadors and scientists and interpreters, all friendly and naive and excited to meet the galactic community? Yes. What about it? That was Plan A. Meet everyone, make friends, share technology, join the big happy galaxy family. Except it turns out the galaxy is not particularly friendly to newcomers, especially newcomers who do not have weapons that can compete with species that have been doing this space thing for thousands of years. Maya walked slowly down the corridor, and Vextor found himself following, with Zindor and Kalimir trailing behind. The ship groaned around them, metal stress singing through the walls. So humanity made Plan B, Maya continued. Because here is what you need to understand about humans, Commander. We are really, really good at 2 things. One is making friends, the other is making weapons, and when we cannot do the first, we get creative with the second. You are a weapon, Kalmir breathed. That is why the scans showed human biology but impossible characteristics. You are not enhanced. You are built. Give the scientist a prize, Maya said. I am what happens when humanity takes artificial intelligence, quantum computing, nanotechnology, and a complete disregard for conventional ethics, and asks the question, what if we could make something that looked human, thought human, but was not bound by those annoying biological limitations like needing food or sleep or not being able to interface directly with computer systems? Vextor felt his blood run cold. You are a machine. I am a synthetic intelligence in a biological shell. I am human, just not in the way you assumed. I have human memories, uploaded from a volunteer who wanted to serve Earth. I have human emotions, or at least very convincing simulations of them. I have human values, but I also have the ability to hack into any computer system within a 100-meter radius, control any electronic device, and process information at speeds that would make your AI look like an abacus. That transport ship, Vextor said slowly. That was not random. You were sent here deliberately. Not here specifically, but into contested space. Yes. The plan was simple. Get captured by hostile forces, which congratulations, you definitely qualify. Let them bring me onto their ship, thinking they got a prize, then demonstrate very clearly what happens when you mess with Earth assets. I was supposed to be captured by the Torvelian Empire. Honestly, they have been raiding our colonies for 6 months, but you Krellians work just as well for a demonstration. The ship shuddered violently, and somewhere distant, something exploded. Stop this, Vextor ordered. Fix my ship. I could, Maya said, but why would I? This is exactly what I was designed to do. Show the galaxy that humans might be newcomers, but we are not victims. We are not prey. We are the species that looked at evolution and said, that is taking too long. Let us do it ourselves. We are the species that will burn our own house down if it means taking the burglar with us. We did not know, Vextor said, and he hated how his voice sounded, almost pleading. We thought you were just another weak species. I know, Maya said, and she actually sounded sympathetic. That was the point. That is always humanity's advantage, Commander. Everyone underestimates us. Every single time. You see our soft skin and our short lifespans and our tendency to cry at videos of small animals, and you think we are harmless, but we are the species that split the atom. We are the species that looked at the concept of artificial intelligence and said, what if we put that in a body and gave it free will? We are beautiful and terrible, and you should have left us alone. Kalomir stepped forward. There are more of you. This is not an isolated project. Maya smiled. There are 57 of me currently active, scattered across human space, waiting to be captured. Think of us as insurance policies. You can attack human ships. You can raid human colonies. But the moment you do, you run the risk of picking up one of us, and then your ship becomes a very expensive coffin. The lights came back on all at once, blindingly bright. Every system hummed back to life in perfect harmony. Maya had stopped the cascade failure as easily as flipping a switch, because to her that was exactly what it was. Now then, she said brightly, let us discuss the terms of my release, shall we? Vextor had fought in 7 major campaigns, survived 3 assassination attempts and once stared down a Vorlaxian Dane squad without flinching, but standing in his own command center, watching a 5'4" human woman casually control his entire warship with what appeared to be nothing more than a thought. He felt something he had not experienced since his first combat drop as a young officer. Pure, undiluted fear. Terms, he repeated flatly. You want to negotiate terms. Well, I would say I hold all the cards here, would you not agree? Maya gestured around the bridge, where every station was flickering with data streams that definitely should not be visible to organic eyes. I could leave right now. Just walk to your shuttle bay, take a ship and go. You could not stop me. Your weapons would not fire. Your security doors would not close. Your crew would not even be able to call for help because I would shut down communications. But I am not going to do that. Why not? Kalmir asked, his scientific curiosity apparently overriding his sense of self-preservation. Because my mission is not to destroy you, Commander Vextor. It is to educate you. Humanity does not want war. We really genuinely do not. War is expensive and messy and people die. And despite what you might think, we actually care about that. But we will not be victims. We will not be prey. So here's what is going to happen. Maya walked to the main view screen and pulled up a star chart with a gesture. Dozens of systems lit up in red, These are human colonies and shipping lanes. For the last 8 months, Krellian raiders, not your official fleet but ships flying your colors, have been hitting them, stealing cargo, taking prisoners, sometimes just destroying vessels for fun. Your government denies involvement, of course, but we both know the truth. Vexthor said nothing, because there was nothing to say. She was right. This stops now, Maya continued. You are going to limp back to Krellian space with your ship barely functional and your pride in tatters. You are going to report to your superiors exactly what happened here. You are going to tell them that you captured a human consultant, and she turned your warship into a toy. You are going to recommend, very strongly, that Krell leave humanity alone. They will never believe me, Vexthor said. They will think I am making excuses for my failure. Maya smiled, and it was not a nice smile. Oh, I am counting on that. I am counting on some of them thinking you are weak or incompetent. I am counting on some of them deciding to test whether I was a fluke or a pattern, because there are 56 others like me out there. Wait, and every single time someone decides to grab a human ship, they are going to roll the dice. Will this one have a synthetic on board? Will this be the capture that cripples their entire fleet? It is a fun game, Commander. Very exciting. Keeps things interesting. You are describing terror tactics, Kalamir said quietly. I am describing deterrence, Maya corrected. There is a difference. We are not hunting you. We are not attacking you. We are just making sure that attacking us costs more than anyone is willing to pay. It is a very human strategy, actually. We have been doing it to each other for thousands of years. Mutually assured destruction. Nobody wins, so nobody plays. Vexthor felt his scales shift through several colors, settling on a defeated gray. What about my crew? What about my ship? Your crew is fine. Scared, confused, probably questioning their life choices, but fine. Your ship will function well enough to get you home. But every system is going to have glitches for the next month. Little reminders. The lights will flicker. The food synthesizer will be slightly off. Your AI will occasionally play that Beethoven symphony at 3 in the morning. Nothing dangerous. Just annoying enough that you never forget this happened. She walked toward the shuttle bay doors and they opened automatically. Vextelvor and his officers followed because what else were they going to do? In the bay, Maya stopped by a small transport shuttle and turned back to face them. I know what you are thinking, Commander. You are thinking that maybe, just maybe, you can capture me again. Lock me down properly this time, take me apart and figure out how I work. Reverse engineer me, build your own versions. The thought had crossed my mind, Vexthor admitted. It would not work. My core systems are quantum encrypted with keys that change every nanosecond. My body will self-destruct at the molecular level if tampered with, and even if you somehow manage to crack all of that, the process for creating me requires technology that humanity has not shared with anyone and will not share ever. We learned that lesson from history. You do not give the neighbors your nuclear codes. She climbed into the shuttle, then paused at the hatch. One more thing, Commander. When you report this, make sure you emphasize that I was polite, that I did not kill anyone, that I fixed your ship instead of leaving you to die in deep space, because the next synthetic you encounter might not be as nice as me. Some of them are built for combat, not consultation. Some of them actually enjoy making examples of people. That is supposed to make me feel better. Vexthor asked. No. It is supposed to make you feel grateful. Goodbye, Commander. I truly hope we never meet again. The shuttle launched, and Vexthor watched it disappear into the black, taking with it any illusions he had about humanity being weak or manageable. Trillax spoke first, his voice small. Sir, what do we do now? Vexthor turned away from the viewport, suddenly feeling every one of his 30 cycles. We go home. We report what happened. And we pray to whatever gods are listening that the rest of the galaxy is smarter than we were. Because here was the thing about humans that nobody had bothered to tell him, that maybe nobody had realized until it was too late. They were not just survivors. They were not just adaptable. They were innovators who looked at every problem, including their own biological limitations, and said, we can fix that. They were the species that had gone from wooden ships to faster-than-light travel in less than 300 years. They were dreamers and builders and absolute lunatics who thought creating synthetic life was a reasonable solution to a military problem. And the galaxy, in its arrogance, had assumed they would be easy targets. Kelmir approached his scanner still in hand, still probably trying to make sense of what he had witnessed. Kelmir, for what it is worth, I believe her. About the others, about the deterrence strategy. It is actually brilliant in a terrifying sort of way. I know, Vextelvor said tiredly. That is what worries me. As the Decimator began its long, humiliating journey back to Krellian space, with systems hiccuping and Beethoven playing randomly through the corridors, Vexter composed his report in his head. He would tell them everything. He would recommend a complete embargo on hostile actions against human vessels. He would explain in excruciating detail what Maya Torres had done to his ship without even trying. And some of them would listen. Some of them would understand that humanity had just rewritten the rules of galactic warfare, but some of them would not. Some of them would think he was weak, or that it was a fluke, or that surely their ships, their crews, their technology was better. Those ones would learn the same lesson he had. Humanity had looked at the vast, dangerous galaxy full of older, stronger, more advanced species, and they had not asked to be protected. They had not begged for mercy. They had not tried to hide. They had built weapons that smiled and said please and thank you, and that Vextel forethought was the most human thing of all.